Okay, so this is now attempt number 2. Again, sorry about any delay and any inconvenience, and I do appreciate everybody who is joining us. So let's start one more time, and let's hope for a better and more successful attempt this time. All right, so let's do this here, and just give me one moment, and I need to make sure that we bring everyone back in onto the live. And don't worry, next time we will be much better prepared. All right. Just give me one moment, and I need to make sure that we bring everyone back in onto the live. And don't worry, next time we will be much better prepared. All right, so now let's get started. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I want to say thank you, and thank you again for your patience. We are Briones Consulting Group. This is the morning meeting, and my name is Julio Briones. So while we are getting started, let me introduce myself a little bit so that you know why you're here, because that is one of the most common questions that I've gotten asked lately, is what makes me qualified to give advice on home care, and why do I consider myself an expert? Well, I've been doing this for many years now. I am 44 years old, and I've been on and off into the home care industry since I was about 15. I have done every position in home care, from recruitment to coordination, management, and business development, and where I have grown home care agencies from startup all the way up to the $5 to $7 million annual mark. With the top company that I've ever worked with was a franchising company that when I started with them, they were doing about $200,000 in revenue, and when I separated from them, they were roughly just under $30 million annual revenue. So that is where my qualifications come in. I am a systems developer. I have figured out many different ways to make home care companies prosper and grow. That is my qualifications. That is where I'm at. I am also certified as an Alzheimer's and dementia care trainer, and part of my service offerings is that we do offer the Alzheimer's and dementia care seminar. That is the pathway to become certified as a dementia practitioner on an individual basis, and as for companies them also. Now, before we get into the Q&A, again, I want to thank everybody for being here. And so let's set up some of the ground rules first. There's a chat function over here, I believe. Feel free to type in any questions. And once this video gets released, we will have a link below, and you can find the link on our website and on the majority of our other videos on where you could submit questions ahead of time if you want something in particular that you want to know about. Once again, I will ask, if you haven't already, please subscribe and give a thumbs up to this video so we can get going. One last thing about me, I am the CEO and senior consultant of Briones Consulting Group, and you can visit us on the web at thebrionesgroup.com, and where we have different training courses, events, and other features, including forms and form kits to help your business get underway. Now, let's get started. I will begin by answering some of the questions that have been submitted ahead of time, and our first is from Miss, I want to say Clara Nixon from Virginia. Wants to know about networking, business growth, and recruitment and retention. Now, that's not a terribly specific set of questions, but we will touch on those specifically. Now, networking, please understand you want to go to either industry-specific networking events or get yourself into a networking group that will limit the amount of home care agencies that are going to participate in networking. You want to, as a general rule, attend networking events once or twice a month, and your industry-specific networking events really have a lifespan of about 3 months before you've met everyone. I will say this, when we are doing industry-specific networking events, there's a lot of people that do believe in networking as their primary referral or primary way to make soft introductions. So you will find that they tend to get saturated with private home care agencies. Now, as far as business growth, I will get into that momentarily because I want to address Antoinette from, if I'm not mistaken, Ohio, the 11 Care Agency. And her questions also deal with business growth. She wants to know how to obtain private paying clients, how to gain referral references from assisted living and other facilities, and after speaking with clients, how to close and put the stamp on the service. All right, those are 2 out of 3 of those questions are actually go hand in hand with Ciara's or Clara's business growth question. The fact is this, I've done a video on this, and you can watch this video in the playlist under the 10-minute home care training. You have to understand what your marketing mix is, okay? So if we want to obtain private paying clients, ask yourself, is this your primary source of revenue? Are you more focused on the private pay clients, or are you more focused on obtaining clients through state programs? I do believe there's a big difference in the method that you're going to approach the two. And if you want to focus on the private pay clients, you have to understand what your value proposition is first. What makes you different from the other 50 home care agencies that are in your area? And I'm being conservative. In some markets, the competing home care agencies, you'll find as many 100 to 150 that service the same area that you do. So what makes you stand out? Don't go with the typical run of the mill that, we'll have someone available to answer your calls, that we provide quality care, that we go above and beyond. I mean, really define this. And once you understand what is your market differentiators, then you will begin to go move into the next part, which is gaining referrals from facilities. See, you have to understand something, that when you're trying to get referrals, that will be your number one way to grow your business. You're going to develop these partnerships through your in-group, your influencers network. Then you're going to take these relationships that you have built, and they will translate into gaining referrals. All right. These referrals, depending on the skill and ability of your office staff, will convert into in-home assessments or living room visits, depending on where you're located and the terminology that you use on a local basis. And then you will eventually be able to convert them into clients and closing the sale. But if you're not clear on how you are different from everyone else in the market, you are not going to be able to accomplish the 3 most important parts that will get people to sign up with you. People have to get to know your company. They have to like the person that's in front of them as an individual, and they have to trust that you will be able to perform on the level that you are claiming to perform. Okay, this is a much deeper conversation about the sales cycle and the sales process. but that's essentially it. You really want to get into the planning. You want to understand what your value proposition is. And once you understand your value proposition, that means you have clearly defined your market differentiators, and that's what's going to help you get these referrals out. Now, we are currently offering a introduction to managing the business development process. This is more geared towards newer offices. If you've been operating for a while or you have a steady flow of referrals, this may not be the best course for you. But if you use coupon code BCG30, it's on our website. We'll be doing this training next week. And we're going to go into much more depth on how you're going to build your referral base and managing your process so that you can get things moving in the right direction to start building your referral base. Now, because of COVID-19 and because of the pandemic that's currently going on, you do have to make adjustments on how you'd reach out to people and how you build these relationships. But in the end, we are still looking at the same basic thing. You have to develop some sort of a plan. You have to understand what your market differentiators are. You have to make the right number of contacts with the right type of facilities. And once a referral is sent, then you have to build your ability to close the sale and make sure that your reporting is on point so that your referral partners have enough confidence in you to continue to refer to you. Now, recruitment and retention, we are talking about something that is, that is a very in-depth subject as well. The recruitment is actually easy, to be honest. As much as people are going to disagree with me that are watching this video, recruitment is actually the easiest thing in the world to do. You throw money at it. All right. If everyone else is paying $15 an hour, you pay $16, and you're going to get more people applying to work for you. Now, retention is a completely different animal. You want to make sure that you are offering the right perks, not necessarily medical benefits, but you do want to offer some sort of benefit to the caregiver. You want to establish solid relationships with your caregivers, and you want to make sure that there's opportunities for career growth, that they are being treated well, and that they develop that inclusiveness. It's like the part of recruitment has a lot to do with the hierarchy of needs. We all need to feel that we're being protected, that we belong, and that we are a part of a functioning unit. Keeping a good employee is not always about paying them the best. It's about understanding how to value and appreciate them. And that's where retention is going to come into play, because the better you're treating your employees, the more that they feel that they belong, the more likely they are to recommend other employees of a like caliber, and that is going to overall improve your business. There's all of these pieces go together: the business growth, the business development piece, recruitment and retention. It all ties in together, because in the end, what has to happen is as your business starts out, you have a lot more recruitment, but not very good retention because you don't have enough cases available. Then as your business starts to grow and your billable hours increase, you have a greater need for caregivers, and you will be able to provide these caregivers with more hours. So you're going to have to ramp that up. It's an ongoing balancing act. And without the proper systems in place, you're gonna lose control of the situation very quickly. Now, we're going to talk about speaking to a potential client and how do you put that stamp on your service. Well, closing is very important. All right. But here's the thing. It really depends on the source of the lead. All right. If your leads are coming from digital avenues, all right, that means these are unqualified leads in many cases, depending on how much you're paying per lead. If it's a random Google pay-per-click ad, these quality of these leads are actually typically very low. And this, again, it brings us back to having a good market differentiator. You also have to understand at what point what price point are you in? Are you at the top tier price point where you're a white glove agency that is really focused on value and the value you're delivering to your client, and therefore your price significantly higher than your competitors? But the advantage there would be, that the clients that are calling you at that price point, they're much more committed to the process and have a higher likelihood of signing with you. So they've already made the decision, even because they understand that they're getting more for your service. Now, on the other end, are you at the bottom of the spectrum where you've done your market research and you are at the low end of the price point for your geographic area and for your regional market? So right there, you're going to be attracting a lot of bargain hunters and people that are going to try to negotiate with you. And if that's where you want to run your business, that's great. But please understand that volume of clients don't necessarily translate into volume of profits. If you're not putting any money in your pocket at the end of the day, then you're wasting your time. I could have 1,000 clients, but if I'm only making $1 per client, then how's my business going to sustain itself? Where on the other end, if I have 20 clients, but I'm making $1,000 off of each client, now my business will be able to sustain itself and I will have a significant profit. It's also going to make, because of the level of commitment required to close a client at a higher price point, it's going to make the closing process a lot easier. Now, if you're one of those people that you want to run with the pack, where, for example, if everyone is charging about $27 an hour in your local market, between 26 and 28, and you price yourself at 27 to stay competitive, that is another strategy. But the pitfall of that is that now you are competing with everyone else, and there's really nothing to set you apart. So, because if you want to add more services, then you're going to kind of fall through the cracks, because you're not going to be able to afford to maintain the higher level of service. And that's going to be another issue in and of itself. Now, once they've agreed to the in-home, your closing rate, even if you're terrible at it, should be about 65 to 70%, simply because psychologically, once you're in front of a client, it's hard for people to kick you out of their home. They're just more open to and more apt. You're already there. You have the paperwork done. I mean, there's a few tips I can give you guys. Number one, have your service agreements all filled in with your client information. Yes, I know some of you are going to say, oh, but if they don't sign up, then I've wasted it. Well, no, you're talking about a few pennies that you're going to throw away, maybe a few dollars over the course of the year, because if it's already filled out with their basic information and all they have to do is fill in the blanks and sign, then it makes it a lot easier, because they have less time to change their mind about hiring you. Also, you want to make sure that at the time of signing that you've already made it very clear to the potential client about the security deposit to start services. This is very important because that security deposit does a few things. One, it lets you to efficiently manage cash flow, but the other thing is the psychological impact on the potential client. They are much less likely to cancel services before your caregiver gets there than if they had not given that deposit. They are also more likely to look at the agreement with you as a contract rather than just a simple service agreement, and therefore they will take it more seriously and not just use you to get them out of the facility or use you for a couple of days, and they can potentially become a repeat client, even if they do just need you temporarily. I will give you a free tip here. Once you have the client that you believe you're ready to close, all right, a good way to start the conversation is you can ask them, so Mr. or Mrs. Client, Now that we've gone over all the benefits, our pricing, and how the process works with our particular agency, is there any reason you would not sign up with us today? Very clearly, don't deviate too much from this. Is there any reason you would not sign up with us today? This does two very specific things. Number one, it gets them into thinking, well, gee, they answered all my questions. They seem reasonably priced, and the service is exactly what I need. So no, I really can't think of any reason to not sign up with you. And the secondary thing is that if they do have doubts or objections, it opens the door to them for them to freely discuss it with you. And now you can handle any further objections as it goes on, whether it be pricing, whether it be the budget, whatever it is. All right. The second tip I'm going to give on closing the sale is another one that is also very important. And that has to do with the most common objection of, wow, 25, 27, 30, whatever it is, dollars per hour seems very expensive. Your follow-up and the way you're going to combat that particular objection is with a very simple response. Well, Mr. or Mrs. Potential Client, 27 an hour, yes, if you look at it by the hour, it can be a little high, but we are competitive within the market. Also, repeat what value you bring them and the benefits that they get for that dollar amount, and ask them, well, what is your weekly budget? This is important, because sometimes when the client gets stuck or fixates on your hourly rate, they forget to look at what their total expenditure is. Maybe your hourly rate is too much for them in particular, but maybe they have a weekly budget that would allow them to pay for a total of 30 hours. And then it's just a matter of accommodating the schedule so that they will be best served. So if they need a 30 hours a week, but they want, let's say, for example, 8 hours on Monday, because that's the day they want meal prep for the week and the day they want the laundry done. But let's say on Thursday, they only need 3 hours or 4 hours, whatever your minimum would be. Now we can manipulate the schedule to fit within their budget, taking away that objection of you're too expensive per hour. All right, so thank you very much for joining us. As we said before, please give us a like on the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We will be doing this every week, and hopefully next week we won't have as many technical difficulties as we did this week. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you soon.